everyone, it's Neenah. Thanks so much for joining me today for a new tutorial. And today I'm featuring the Simon Says Stamp November card kit called Thanks and Leaves. With fall now in full swing, this is a perfect kit to work and create some beautiful thank you cards, Thanksgiving cards, or just because. And the kit contains so many beautiful products that can help you do that. And if you're interested in learning all of the products that are in this kit, I do have a video on my blog and YouTube channel showing every product that's included in the kit. So you can find links to that on YouTube down in the video description, or on my blog you can scroll through and find the video showcasing the entire kit. So today I'm creating this coordinating card and envelope using many of the products that are in the kit. Now, when I created this card and envelope, I wanted to make something a little bit smaller that was going to fit in the 4-bar KRAFT envelope, which is one of the items that are in your kit. So I cut the Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, which matches the envelopes perfectly, down into a card size that was going to fit inside of this 4-bar envelope. Now I'm using the leaf images from the Thanks and Leaves stamp set. This is a 6x8 set, and I'm using all of the leaves across this entire background. So I arranged the leaves first inside of my Misty tool on top of the Desert Storm cardstock. I'm fitting them into place, trying to create a really nice puzzle piecing of these images and have something that really fills up this entire background. Now, there weren't quite enough leaves to be able to cover the entire card panel on the first stamping, so I will rearrange these leaves and stamp again a second time just to make sure I get a full coverage. So for the stamping, I am using embossing ink because I plan on doing some gold heat embossing onto this Desert Storm cardstock. So I stamped those images, got this great impression of all of these beautiful leaves, and I'm going to sprinkle on antique gold embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp onto this paper. Now, this embossing powder isn't included in the kit, but it is something that you can purchase from Simon Says Stamp, and it's one of my absolute favorite colors of embossing powder. I'll heat set this with my heat embossing tool. This heat gun I let heat up just a little bit so that way I could go ahead and emboss these fairly quickly and not have too much warping of the cardstock. I will go ahead, like I said, and rearrange some of these leaves onto the card. And as I'm doing this, I'm arranging them onto my Misty grid sheet. This grid sheet you can get at Simon Says Stamp and is meant to fit inside of your Misty tool and help you create perfect alignment on cards and such, but it's also great for prepping and kind of planning out where you want to stamp and not get any excess ink onto your actual project. So I didn't have to clean these stamps before stamping. I just laid that grid down so that way any ink left over was getting on that grid sheet itself, and so I could go ahead and stamp again and not have to worry about having embossing ink in places I didn't want it to be in. Now, I also die cut this beautiful wrap stitch heart from a memory box die, and I cut the edges off so that way it will hang off the side of the card. Also onto some ivory cardstock, I'm going to stamp one of the greetings from the Thanks and Leaves stamp set. I'll use embossing ink for this as well, and sprinkle on that same antique gold embossing powder. This gorgeous script sentiment I just love, and there's quite a few of them in the entire stamp set. I'll fussy cut it out to have a nice little outline around the greeting, and this will layer on top of the heart. Now, speaking of hearts, I took that same wrap stitch heart die set from Memory Box and cut a couple of smaller hearts, and I also used some hearts from the Simon Says Stamp envelope liner die set to create some even tinier hearts, which I'll adhere down with KRAFT tacky glue. I used foam tape for the other 3 hearts, the 2 orange larger ones and then the white one in the center. I also popped up the greeting from some foam tape as well. This has 2 layers of foam tape so that way it's not resting against those orange hearts. After I've attached all of these items down, I will bring in some sequins. There are some beautiful bronze sequins in the kit, and I paired these with some smaller ones that are from the Treasure Chest sequin mix from Simon Says Stamp as well. Both of these have some really beautiful rich gold and bronze tones, so these really worked well with the kit. I'm going to add Nuvo drops into the centers of each of these sequins because I absolutely love doing this. I'll embellish the background even further using a stippling technique with a white gel pen. I really like how this fills in the spaces between the leaves, and it helps tie in the white heart that we have on the card too. Now I wanted to create a coordinating envelope. So first I wanted to make a heart to put into the envelope, and that's where the address can go. So I used that same wrap stitched heart and cut it from some copy paper, and I'll use pumice stone distress ink to ink blend around the edges of that negative heart shape. As I'm doing this, this is giving me that negative heart, and it'll create a beautiful darker edge around it and have a beautiful nice highlight in the center, because I didn't do all of the ink blending towards the center. I left that kind of plain. Now I can bring in some leaves from that same Thanks and Leaves stamp set and stamp these with embossing ink and emboss them with the antique gold embossing powder. I did heat set the envelope to make sure that the distress ink blending was dry before I went ahead and did some embossing, and you also saw me prep the surface of that paper with a powder tool. After I've stamped the images, that's when I'll go ahead and heat emboss these, and again I'll make sure that my heat tool is really hot so that way it doesn't have too much warping to this envelope, because it is thinner paper, of course. Again, I'll bring in that white gel pen and add some details. Not only will I add in some dots, but I also brought in some swirls. These swirls add some movement and help make the leaves look like they're cascading down across this envelope. It helps bring some additional interest to this scene, and it allows it to have a lot of nice movement. Finally, I embossed a little sentiment that says sending hugs, and I took one of the extra tiny hearts that I had die cut and put that onto the card as well underneath of the sentiment. So that's going to finish off my card and envelope set using the Simon Says Stamp November 2018 card kit, Thanks and Leaves. I hope that this set has inspired you to create with the card kit, because this card kit has a lot of possibilities. There are so many other things that are included in the kit, and I hope you'll check out the video that I created showcasing all those products, which again I have linked down below in the video description. Thanks again for stopping by and spending some time with me today. I will be back again very soon with more to share, but until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye!